is a transformation coach and a spiritual therapist. And I also happen to be the founder of this beautiful spiritual center called Om Karma, founded in 2006. And here in this center, we conduct various training programs, coachings, counselings, and other courses and workshops, seminars, talks, etc. in intuitive predictive sciences, spiritual modalities, and even scientific modalities. At present, we are conducting the Train the Trainer DC Psychology program for the past 5 days. And I'm sure the participants have had a beautiful and a fulfilled journey throughout with us. I would now like to invite the master trainer and facilitator of this program, Colonel Aalok Sood, to please come here and say a few words. Thank you.
My name is Aalok. I'm an international master trainer, a life and a business coach, and also a spiritual therapist. You must be wondering why all these things under the same bed. The point is to understand the human being. It is important for us to make sure of how a person and what a person and why a person is thinking or what he or she is thinking as of now. May I ask you, do we act or react to our environment? And if yes, we do, why do we do that? This is the journey which Directive Communication Psychology provides you for you to effectively understand your own self and also understand the human being. At Om Karma, we ran the Train the Trainer program, which was a 6-day affair, almost 6 to 7 hours, and a couple of hours the participants also took when they went back home. Some of their works you can see on the door, that is the mind maps which they created, and also on this door as they created the mind maps. And when they created the mind maps, you could understand how the content of Directive Communication Psychology went into their heads. And once it went into their heads, they started pouring that content out. Directive Communication Psychology, as I call it, it's almost a one-stop solution for you to understand your own self and also to understand people around you. Those who say that the environment makes you or breaks you, I put it across in another word. You can make your own environment. Question is for you to answer whether you are able to make your own environment or not. But the bottom line is, if you have your own environment as you wish it so, will you be more comfortable? Or would you be at conflict with your own self? I'm honored to have the guests who have come from outside and have taken this much of time to be here with us. We have got DCNs amongst us, this is Tareen, and of course Anshul, who is there, and 3 DCNs in the making today in the form of Sarojini, Disha, and Rajesh. And of course, just to share something, we have another DCN in the making, perhaps in our next program that has been announced for August 2016. Friends, without taking much of your time, I now invite my participants of this Train the Trainer program to share with you what they have picked up in the last 6 days. I welcome Sarojini Datta on stage to address you all on this particular.
Hi friends, thank you so much Colonel Sood and Mrs. Salim for having us here and taking us through this wonderful journey. I think I'll take off from where Colonel Sood left us. He's already explained how the environment creates us and not the other way around. Let me just take a scenario. You are ready for work in the morning and suddenly you find your 2 children having a big squabble, and it really just kind of turns you off because you're all ready to move and you suddenly find the shouting and screaming and everything going on, and all you can do is come back, tha, tha, and there it is, and you have 2 crying children on your hands, and all you can do is they go shut one door, shut the other door, and you're out of the house. But what does that leave you with? You just are ruined for the whole day. Your whole mood is gone. When you walk into work, too bad. So take another scenario. You walk into your boss's office. You've been working all night for something. and all he says is, listen, you know what, I think you need to just leave this and go somewhere else, and you're like all full of enthusiasm, and he suddenly change his entire focus to something else, and that's it. And your whole day is gone because here you've been working all night to show them this fantastic assignment that you've done, but your mood goes and your performance goes down. Even if he sends you somewhere to do something, what do you produce? You come back again with half the work done. Take another scenario. He's given you a job to do, and you've gone into your cabin, you're working on it, 1 hour, 2 hours, every hour he suddenly starts calling you. Have you finished? Disha, have you done your work? Neera, have you finished your work? Whatever, like he just keeps doing that. And you know you've been given a deadline to finish this by 7 in the evening, but you're being called every 2 hours. What happens? What's your mood going to be like? I think your performance is going to dip, is what I would feel like. Because what I was supposed to do in 7 hours, you actually just lose focus, and you're only wondering, can I do this like this? Can I do this like this? And so your attention goes from the processing, goes to the processing instead of the objective. So how does this, what are we doing to ourselves and to others? We are actually creating that environment, and what is happening whenever something happens and we tell somebody something and the other person answers back, we react with one reaction. It could be anger, it could be disgust, it could be, anything. So what I would say is, and which I'm sure you've all felt it in your lives, is whenever you react in haste and you negatively react, all you get is a stressful environment, non-productive. But you use what I would call later, and I tell you the part of your brain that will help you think clearly, you will definitely have more intelligent thinking. You will have a positive environment. So what do we understand when we think, how are we going to create this? I think that is where the DC psychology has helped me understand. And from here I would also like to take you to the point that what happens when you defocus? When you can't get onto that track which is your objective. What happens immediately when something distracts you from what your purpose is? There's a so-called antenna that stands up, your brain's radar start working, and what you do is, to give yourself peace of mind, is you delete what you don't want to know, you just listen and see what you want to see. So your mind gets focused. If you like the example is there, which is a common one, you just bought shoes that you like and suddenly you see everybody likes the same stuff. But you're not seeing anybody else's choices there. So the moment you start focusing on something else, what happens? Your objective gets lost in that process. The reasons for this, for your focus to get distracted, is also because of what we have termed as the 4 insanities. I think a lot of us would understand and relate to this. I can just delineate. One is that we think if we have common sense, the whole world should have common sense. Does it work like that? It just doesn't. So the other one is that if we are truthful and honest, we think everybody is the same. I'm sorry, friends, I don't think that happens at all. I'm sure you must have had many, many instances where you've been truthful in everything and you trust somebody, and actually it turns out that you can't, because they have different standards and the different values of their own. Then you also feel that if I can do this thing, I'm sure everybody can do this. If I can do it in 10 minutes, why the hell can't you do it? Excuse my expression. So, but it doesn't, because everybody has a different functioning, everybody has a different process, and everybody works in a different way, is what we are going to understand. And the other thing that I would say is that we tend to feel that, I think one of the DCMs could help me there, the 4th one.
Truth is universal, of course.
I did touch on that one. One more.
Everything is fair.
Yes, that was the last one. Everything is fair. If we are fair, we expect the bosses to be fair, we expect our colleagues to be fair, but you'll be surprised at the conspiracies that go on behind your back, because you feel if you're being fair to others, but everybody is there to win. Everybody is there to be proved right. And when people are not proved right is when they start finding reasons and finding excuses for not being right. There is a little technique that we use. It's called the World of Work map. This kind of delineates the 5 areas where you would tend to have colored perceptions, think the way you think everybody should be. So I just see, I'm sorry, I don't think everybody can see, but there's a meeting land, there's a land of solitude, there's a land or team land, there's a continent of communication, and there is fulfillmentopia. So we use this technique when we are doing the trainings, where I think it was very evident to me that there were so many things and so many perceptions that I had about myself. And they were shocking revelations, and I think it's kind of put me on the right track to understand that. And that's where, when we are trying to prove ourselves right, that our encoded assumptions start coming up. And I think this is something that comes from our beliefs, from our values, from things our parents have taught us, from movies that we see, from books that we read. I mean, I would remember things like a mother telling a child, no, don't go out in the rain, you'll get sick. I think that's something which is very basic. How many people fall sick if they get wet in the rain? But if you've been told that as a kid, you will 100% get sick the moment you go out in the rain. And another common one that I find is really sad is when everybody tells us, no, son, you don't do these kind of things. Only the daughters will do this. Don't go into the kitchen. Don't do this. Why? Girls, no, you're supposed to stay in the house. Why? You're not supposed to go cycling on the road. You're not supposed to be seen in a swimsuit in this. I mean, okay, you might have cultural values, but the point is there is no can't. There is a presumption that so and so, and we unfortunately, our whole culture grows up thinking of these assumptions. And as we grow up, we make these as our rules of engagement. Now these rules of engagement start being applied to everyone that we meet. Every working situation, you use your rules of engagement. No, you're not supposed to work like this, or you're supposed to. You should be doing this, but you shouldn't be doing this. Why? That's your rule of engagement. That's your rule of engagement, not everybody's. So let's be open enough and tolerant enough and to understand how we are being guided by our own personal rules of engagement. And that is what causes friction, because sometimes if we want others to behave that way, we start the blame game. We start saying that this is just not right, and you're not right, and what is everybody's sense of security, recognition, significance trying to tell you is, I have to prove myself right, I have to justify this. And when the moment you start doing this, starts the blame game, and you start pointing this finger at everyone. And that's the worst thing you can do, because you get on the defensive or you get on the offensive, and then come the reactions. And what is reaction, as we started earlier? It will always cause a stressful environment. So what do we do to get out of this rule of engagement? We build a circle of tolerance. The circle of tolerance, always a larger circle of tolerance, means that you are dropping your encoded assumptions. Stop presuming, stop assuming that others will behave in a certain way just because you were brought up like that, you were supposed to do it like this. It just doesn't happen. You have to be able to understand this. And because of this, we are here today, and I think we have a brilliant CCBI or CBCI, a color brain communication inventory, which really helps us discover why someone functions the way they do. And an understanding of that is what I request my friend Nisha to please take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarojini. Everyone, you're welcome to this, our institute. Now, every time we have a discussion, when we have a discussion with someone, what is the first thing we think about? What is he or she going to say? Or what he says, how do we interpret it? It's not always that you have happy communication with this person or feel energized. Sometimes you are triggered. You may not reply instantly, but you hold that in yourself. Then what happens? You keep thinking about that thing, and it turns into overthinking. It becomes a burden in your head. It occupies space in your head. And I must say, unnecessary space. It leads you away from your focus. You start overthinking, and it tires you down. Your energy is drained. Now, another thing that happens is that you may form a personal judgment against this person, or even you may think the other person has personal judgment, whereas this may not be true. It may be just the other person's way of behaving in a certain way. Everyone has a brain, and I hope so everyone here does.
Of course.
They have a different way of processing. For instance, if you compare two computer processors like PC processor and Mac processor, both of them will be able to perform your Microsoft Excel function, but just in a different way. You will get the result, but they will do it in their own way. Similarly, everyone's brain works in a different way. For instance, you may find a person who gets a bit of information and starts taking action, then clarifies his or her doubts. Then you see again there's a bit of action taken, then thinking a little bit, thinking that this is deviating from the bigger picture I had in mind. Now some more information is seeked by this person. You may find the processing of this person to be very chaotic. This kind of a brain is known as a green brain processor. Now, it is also termed as chaotic processor, but it does not denote a negative meaning. It's just their way of functioning. For them, regular feedback is important, definitely in short bites because they have short attention span. Secondly, these people seem to think that they can be everywhere, they can be present everywhere at one particular time, but of course that can't happen. They are very disconnected in their thinking. They will have 5 things in mind, but none of which would be connected. Sometimes you come across this kind of person who like, ये कर क्या रहा है? अभी यहाँ था, अभी कुछ और बोल रहा है, मैंने अभी इसको explain किया, वो फिर से कुछ और आके पूछ रहा है. That is a green brain processor. Now, secondly, opposite to this, you will have a person who is very structured. Will take requisite details which he requires for a project, and then analyze it, and then take action. सब कुछ उसके लिए structure form में होता है, from A to B to C to the final outcome. For them, if they go wrong somewhere, they have to redo the entire thing rather than modifying the mistake they did. And maximum they will have one alternative as backup. For them, their values mean a lot. So if you have to modify their thinking, you will have to do by reasoning. And there is no other way. They may appear dry, they may appear not interested, but it's just their way of doing things. Now, another brain processor, which is the purple brain processor, is one step ahead of the red brain processor in terms of their gathering details. Constantly, they will be looking for many details, not even more than the requisite details. मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे वो चाहिए, even the minutest ones. You may find them to be irrelevant, but they will still gather it. Also, you may think that they are very slow in what they do, but that's not the truth. They started their work, just the time is spent in gathering information. After that, analysis happens and the action takes place. For them, it's very difficult to delegate their work. Even if they are forced to, they will be micromanaging at all levels. They will constantly be at your head. I need an update for this. ये मुझे 5 बजे update चाहिए. अभी नहीं मिला तो कल सुबह तक चलती है. Constantly, and then you'll be like, अगर 2 दिन की डेट, 2 दिन की बाद की डेट है, then why is he constantly asking me for this? But that's just his way of working. Again, the last one is the blue brain processor. These people think with their intuition. They are very well connected to people. They are insightful of people. They feel there is this need to constantly express themselves, and that is sometimes what they want from others also, because it's just their way of connecting. It's very easy for these people to confide in others and very quickly. Similarly, others can confide in themselves, in them as well. Sometimes this is positive, sometimes it can be negative, because obviously you cannot quickly trust someone. You cannot just open yourself to someone. These people can multitask because they are very well connected with themselves and others. Now, what do you think a green brain processor will be good in doing? What do you think which career will be a good option for this person? Maybe a career in media, career in stage performance, because they can be very quick. One moment they are here, then something else will come in their mind. Like I said before, that usually when you don't understand someone, you tend to think that this person may have a negative judgment against me. But just imagine, if you are able to understand this, that everyone has a different way of working, you will think that maybe this person doesn't have something against me, and you will have this moment of lighting of a bulb where you're like, oh my god, these are this person's behavior, these are this person's characteristics, and that is why he behaved, and there is nothing against me. You will definitely heave a sigh of relief, and a lot of tension that's been going on in your mind will go away. This is where the color twin communication inventory comes in. So here we can figure out what your brain processor is. There is part 1A, 1B and 2. So there are certain questions to which you have to give points. The total of 1A and 1B shows you what colored brain processor are you. And part 2 indicates which colored brain processor you are likely to have miscommunication with. Well, definitely, for instance here, this person is a blue brain processor with secondary colors being red and purple. Majority of the times this person will think with his or her intuition. Now, there are chances of this person to have a conflict with the green color brain processor. Again, a connected person, blue, with a disconnected person, green. Obviously, conflicts will arise. Again, this is where the functional of this inventory comes in. And it will relieve you majorly from your tensions. Now, there was a research conducted in Stanford University where top achievers from 100 different professions were called, and they were asked that how much of their success do they attribute to skills. You will be surprised, but the percentage was only from 14 to 22%. Now you must be thinking, what is the other thing that they would have said? It's attitude. Again, skills are very important. They do make your foundation. In the pyramid of success, that's your base, a strong base. But what next? Attitude. You have to have that attitude. Yes, I have to do it. I have to do it under any cost. This is how, that's attitude. Thirdly is self-actualization. Self-actualization is meant when you are fulfilled. And what is fulfillment? Maybe at job you get money, you get recognition from your boss. Maybe in a relationship where you are satisfied of a certain thing, when your parents approve of you in particular project. What do you say then? Why are you fulfilled? It's not just that I am getting money so I am fulfilled. What need does that money fulfill for you? That's where your emotions come in place. There are emotional drivers because of which you may feel fulfilled or not. And for that, I have my friend Rajesh who will introduce you about emotional drivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Disha. Thank you so much. Guys, if you guys are feeling heavy stuff, bhari saman bataya ja raha hai, so we can create some lighter movements if that's okay with you. If you are still feeling that it has been very heavy by the two previous speakers, Sarojini and Disha, otherwise they are okay and I can give you still more heavy stuff from my end. But trust me, this is going to be an interesting aspect, and from where Disha left, this is part of our human psychology or psych makeup. Two parts to it. One is the color brain processing, which Disha had just explained, and the second one is our emotional drivers. What drives us emotionally? To put it very crudely, not the exact definition, but these are some of those things which will make us or provide us those triggers to act, to react, to respond. Right? There are 80 number. Right? Any guesses? What would those be? Any guesses?
Love and belonging.
Love and belonging. Oh, brilliant. Fine. What else?
Or feeling hurt. When you hurt someone.
Yeah. So how
Feeling it.
So what is the driver? Like the love and belonging, or belonging and love is one, wherein we feel connected to ourselves or others around us.
Security.
Yeah, security is one of them, wherein we want to have a overall control about safety and security of ourselves. It could be emotional security, it could be financial security, it could be general security at large. Right? So thank you for these two inputs, and then we take it on. The third one is diversity and change, wherein we are looking for variety and excitement in whatever we are doing. The fourth one is achievement, wherein we are wanting to make a progress in whatever we are doing in our lives. The next one would be recognition and significance, wherein we want our accomplishments or our virtues to be acknowledged. Right? That this has been done beautifully by somebody, and that's where if the recognition and significance happens to be one of the emotional drivers, you would love your work to be recognized, your efforts to be recognized. Right? The next comes the challenge and growth, wherein we are actually looking for our own personal development, growth, learning. These are some of those things which we look for when we are driven by emotional driver called challenge and growth. Then comes excellence, wherein we are working for self-satisfaction. We would take pride whenever we are doing or finishing something. And the last one happens to be responsibility and contribution, wherein we own up, we take the responsibility of finishing certain assignments which have been given or which we have taken, and contribute wherein we are part of the team. So these are the 8 emotional drivers, which along with the color brain processor pushes or drives a human being to act or to react or to respond, depending upon our sequencing. So out of these 3, primarily 3, which are control and security. The second one is diversity and change, and the third one is recognition and significance. These are the 3 happen to be in the short supply. Happen to be in short supply, which means most of us are actually would have these as our primary drivers, and it is not generally available, or the options or the opportunities to explore these are generally not available, and that's where the conflict arises. If you have any questions on this, I may address, otherwise I move to the next. Yeah. The second part which I wanted to take up was on the body postures, which as a speaker we need to be maintaining when we are addressing a gathering, and the gathering could be as august as this or maybe a bigger audience. The first happens to be a warrior, wherein the warrior happens to be extremely focused on the objective and the energies. The warrior would always keep the focus on the objective which he or she is trying to achieve. The second one, which is the emperor. Right? Emperor is one body posture wherein the person would have the shoulders absolutely parallel to the ground, slightly protruded on the chest, and with a lot of confidence. The third one is like childlike or child, wherein you are full of energy, right? And you are behaving like a small little child, trying to reach and address the audience so that you can create a connect immediately. The next one, which happens to be a lover line, with a lot of feeling. With a lot of feeling, and you can create a connect immediately. These top 4 options would have the pluses and the minuses or the negatives if we overdo that. The fifth one happens to be angelic, which is primarily with only the positives. You connect, you act like an angel with the audience, and there can't be anything negative in this connection, wherein the speaker happens to be in angelic posture and the audience would accept. The last one, which I'm sure any person would not like to be in a situation like this, and that's what we call it as a beggar, wherein the audience is not willing to accept, and the speaker is just wanting that some kind of acceptance should come from the audience, right? And that is only the beggar posture has only negative attached to it. The facilitator will not be accepted by the audience. He or she will not be able to create a connect with the audience, and the program, as we call in the training language, the program may fall, right? If you have any questions, I'm willing to address. Otherwise, I would call Colonel Sood to please sum up.
Thank you, Rajesh. Friends, firstly, I am overwhelmed that the participants of this Train the Trainer program could put across the aspects of the journey which you would like to undertake so that you are not in conflict with your own self. If I may ask you, would you like to be successful in your life? Do you have a higher purpose of your own life? And what if you are 100% successful and are able to achieve the higher purpose of your life? How would you feel deep inside of you? I'm quite sure the answer would be great. My part 2 of the question is, does the person next to you in your domain have the same greater purpose of life? Of course, I am sure you're not thinking that you have a greater purpose, but the person next to you in your domain does not have none. I mean, that is looking at it from your win-win situation. As if you have a coin in your pocket which says, I would behave the way I want to behave, and she should behave the way I want to be. She should behave the way I want her to. Can you believe it? What we can have in our minds to keep our greater purpose and our success in mind rather than somebody else's? And friends, what if you were successful and you are able to achieve your greater purpose? Would you achieve the contentment of life? And what if you are able to achieve that contentment of life, that you are able to satisfy the people around you? And what if by their satisfaction achievement, they can thereafter turn a few more satisfied and contented? Will the world around you be more contented and successful? And if yes, would you like to start off with the journey of directive communication psychology, where you can know your own self better and you can know people around you better? May I just introduce you one of the tools which the participants of Train the Trainer program managed to create out of Human Drivers Challenge, which is one of the team tools where people created. This is not how it is when it was in a piece form. I can dare say, my dear friends, that directive communication psychology has got 11 patented tools. And these tools, thereafter, you do not use, you may not download any other tool which is available on net or otherwise. You can do any workshop which can relate to a leadership motivational program, which can relate to a communication program, which can relate to a team bonding program, which can relate to a scientific parenting program, which can relate to your allowing a 14-year-old to choose the right subject. And you can also push the same person when he or she becomes a graduate or a postgraduate into picking up the right career, based on the colored brain communication inventory and of course some of the emotional drivers which the person carries as his or her human psychological makeup, which is a combination of the colored brain communication processor and the top 3 emotional drivers. If you have managed to take in what we have been trying to tell you, I would come back to the term which I used earlier. Directive communication psychology is almost a one-stop solution of knowing people. Let me also share with you that you can do your counselings by means of the tools which we covered. For marriage counseling, you can also put 2 people into effective relationships, and you can think of anything under the blue skies which can talk about being addressed for the human resource to change this person into a human capital. In simple words, try it, taste it, join the programs of Train the Trainer, which is accredited by the American Institute of Business Psychology. Get your certifications so that you can be different from others. You can be unique amongst other people. Think about it, consider it, and be with us to take this journey together. Thank you so much for having been here with us. I'm quite sure you would consider all that has come to you in our life. So kind. Thank you.